We can all agree that defense wins titles, right? Sure, going heavy on attack is thrilling, and we all love to watch the Reds relentlessly attack the opposition, creating chance after chance. But we can't outscore our opponents in every game, can we? That's essentially what held Liverpool back in the latter stages of last season's title race. Forget about the easy missed chances, the team kept conceding big opportunities regardless of who they were playing. So will that be the case under Arne's slot? Do he and his staff have a plan to fix all the Reds' defensive struggles? That's what we'll discuss in today's video, as we'll look into how Liverpool struggled last season and how Slot's defensive approach from his Feyenoord days can help improve these issues. But before we do get into the video, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool deep dives. So we can all agree that Liverpool's defensive line wasn't at its best last season, right? Some might argue that finishing as the third best defensive line, conceding just 41 goals isn't bad, but that's not good enough if you want to compete for the title. Especially when Arsenal conceded 12 fewer goals and still missed out on the championship. The underlying numbers also prove how the Reds were far from competing for the title, especially when it comes to their defence. Liverpool had the third worst XG allowed compared to the Citizens and the Gunners with 45.7. This means the club actually conceded fewer goals than expected, thanks to opponents missing easy chances or the keepers making crucial saves. And we all do remember those Kelleher saves, don't we? Another recurring theme from last season was how the Reds kept conceding the first big chance in almost every single game. Burnley, Brentford, Nottingham Forest and other clubs all had the first big chance in their games against Liverpool. This is reflected in the Reds' XG allowed of 13.16 in the first 30 minutes. For context, Arsenal averaged less than 9 expected goals allowed in the first half an hour, and City only has around 8. Now, there are plenty of reasons why this has become a recurring issue for the Reds in the latter stage of the campaign. The players' willingness to play high and aggressively, and Klopp's instructions that leave spaces in behind. But there's a key reason we think that the issue stems from, and that is the lack of control. We all know how direct Klopp wants his side to be, always looking to drive the ball forward and attack at every moment. But that can sometimes pose issues. Every time the ball is won, the players always look for that killer pass or try to carry the ball quickly up the pitch. This can backfire when teams win the ball back and take advantage of the Reds' disorganized shape. Now, what does Slot have to do with this? Well, let us explain. The main similarity between Klopp and the new manager is undoubtedly their preference for pressing from the front in an intense manner. But what they do after winning the ball back is completely different. Under Klopp, the Reds want to strike directly after regaining possession. However, Feyenoord under Slot often take their time after winning the ball back. This approach isn't limited to regaining possession high up the pitch, even in defensive zones. Slot is said to be a control freak, and that's why Feyenoord have generally been far more cautious about controlling the ball. If the player does not see a guaranteed counter-attacking moment, they are happy to circulate possession and build up their attack slowly rather than risking losing the ball through an overly aggressive move. As a proof, you can just see how far apart both teams are when it comes to counter-attacks. Feyenoord is ranked in the 20th percentile compared to Liverpool, who stands at 98th. Sure, some might argue that both teams have nearly identical pass possession numbers, with each side averaging 61%. However, it's the long balls attempted that highlight the difference between them. Feyenoord ranks last in the Eredivisie for long balls attempted with 2,221, which is 593 fewer than what Liverpool has in the Premier League. This shows how Slot's team prefers working their way through the opposition with shorter passes rather than going direct with a long ball. You might be wondering, what does this have to do with defending? Well, have you ever heard of defending with the ball? After all, the opposition can't score if they don't have possession, right? By not rushing into the attacking transitions and instead keeping the ball circulating possession at the back and building up slowly, the players will have more time to catch their breath. This is much better than constantly running up and down the pitch, attacking and defending in transitions for almost the full 90 minutes. Sure, keeping the ball at the back might increase the risk of opponents winning it back in dangerous areas. That's why Slot will need a new left-footed centre-back who excels under pressure and has the ability to progress the ball through carrying or passing. Now, Virgil van Dijk usually plays on the left side of the defence. However, that might not be optimal if Slot wants to implement his approach of keeping the ball around, circulating possession, inviting the opposition to press, and then bypassing it. No, we're not doubting Van Dijk's ball-playing ability. He's obviously one of the most technically gifted centre-backs out there, and he's also composed under pressure. However, putting him on his weak foot might affect the team's ability to build up slowly out from the back, as he will often find himself adjusting his posture to use his preferred foot. So who should the club go in for? Well, the options for this position are plenty, from Inacio, Pacho and Hancho to even Hincapié. But there's one player who emerged last season who could be perfect for Arne Slot's approach, the Italian Riccardo Calafiori. Sure, the 22-year-old is heavily linked with a move to Juventus, but here at Panenka, and we're pretty sure many of you would agree, we believe that the club should go all in for Calafiori because he's simply a unique player. He will not only add the needed quality for Arne Slot, but will also be the replacement when Virgil van Dijk's time at the club comes to an end. If you're not convinced with our pick, we just dropped an in-depth analysis on the player, so make sure you check it out. We're positive that it will change your mind. So now that we've covered how Slot likes to defend with the ball, an approach that will undoubtedly work against weaker sides, but he can't keep much possession against the likes of Manchester City, Arsenal or other bigger teams in the Champions League. After all, Slot's not Pete Pep with that tic-tac Barcelona side. So how does the new manager set his team up to defend without the ball? The first thing that strikes you about Slot's out-of-possession approach is how aggressive his pressing style is. Since his appointment at Feyenoord, the club has had the highest number of high turnovers and the highest ball recoveries in the final third. We dove deeper into his pressing approach in another video, so do make sure you check it out. But the question now is what happens when Slot's initial line of press is bypassed by the opposition? How does his team set up when opponents progress the ball higher up the pitch? Well, let's explore this together. Slot's preferred 4-2-3-1 often shifts into a 4-4-2 pressing structure, with a number 10 jumping high to form the initial line of press alongside the striker. When the opposition bypasses Feyenoord's press, this 4-4-2 shape drops to the middle of the park to form a compact mid-block, with a winger providing solid cover for their fullbacks. However, Slot is known for his flexibility, and this 4-4-2 shape isn't the only option when defending. Feyenoord can also drop to a 5-2-3 or a 5-4-1 mid-block when out of possession, with one of the pivots joining the backline. But that's not all. The back 5 can seamlessly turn into a back 6, with the second pivot player dropping back to play extremely close to the defensive line. This, in contrast to Liverpool, gives Slot's side more defensive stability and the ability to close the gaps, which translates into Feyenoord having the second best defensive line in the league, conceding just 26 goals while allowing the least expected goals in the league with just 26.2 XGA. So what do the players do exactly in these structures? Well, bear with us as we're going to explain. There have been talks that playing under Slot might be extremely physically demanding, especially on the wingers and the double pivot players. Not only are wide players tasked with consistently taking on their markers and threatening the opposition in attack, but they are also key to the way the manager likes to defend. The same can be said about his midfielders too. Whether in a mid or low block, the wingers are always tasked with dropping back to provide cover for the fullbacks, attempting to deny the opposition any 1v1 situations in wide areas, and also not allowing the opposition to put in crosses into the box. This is highlighted by the fact that Feyenoord have allowed the least number of crosses in the Eredivisie with just 35. When it comes to midfielders, both Pfeiffer and Timber are crucial to all phases of play for Feyenoord, from progressing the ball from deep areas to attacking the half spaces and arriving late in the box to be at the end of shots. They're also tasked with tracking runners back to stop passes into the defensive third and the penalty area. Again, Feyenoord has allowed the fewest passes into the penalty box in the Eredivisie with 127. Liverpool, on the other hand, have allowed 252, which is 89 more than Arsenal in the Premier League. Sure, there is a huge gap between the two leagues, but this does not mean that Slot's approach out of possession did not improve his side's numbers. So one thing Liverpool players need to be aware of is that they're going to work their hearts out when the opposition has the ball next season. We talked about how Slot likes to defend with the ball by keeping possession and control. We also discussed his flexibility and willingness to use a back 6 at times. Now, one thing remains: how will he improve the Reds' defending from set pieces? Believe it or not, Liverpool have conceded more goals from set pieces than several mid-table clubs. The stats back this up. Liverpool have let in 10 goals from set plays, the same as Crystal Palace, Brighton and Bournemouth, and more than Fulham, Brentford and West Ham. The Reds have also given up an alarming 12.48 expected goals against from set pieces. When you compare this to figures from teams like City and Arsenal, who had less than 7 XGA from set pieces, it becomes clear why Liverpool struggle to remain contenders for the title down to the wire. Feyenoord, on the other hand, have conceded just 5 goals from set pieces, the second fewest in the league. They also average the second lowest XGA from set pieces with just 4.77. Again, yes, there's a stark difference between the league's qualities, but for Slot's side to achieve these numbers, it shows that the manager knows how to set up his team when defending set pieces. Of course, we're not saying that we're sure of how Arne Slot is going to set up his Liverpool side next season. We're simply bringing in facts about his Feyenoord side and how his approach can be implemented at Anfield. As we mentioned in one of our previous videos, signing attacking players might not be the priority for the Reds this season. Instead, a left-footed centre-back and a defensive midfielder midfielder, capable of playing in a double pivot, should be the main target for Edwards and his team. For Slot to improve Liverpool's defensive game, he needs to have the tools to assert the control and flexibility he wants on the pitch, ultimately giving opponents the least amount of chances to threaten his defense. So what do you think of Arne Slot's defensive approach? Do you think this way of controlling games will stop Liverpool from having those back and forth moments where every team we face has the opportunity to score? Let us know your thoughts down there in the old comment section below, and if you enjoyed today's deep dive, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.